you find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. One half second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Welcome into the Gibson Fantasy Football Podcast. Woo woo! We are here in the unlucky week 13 to tear it up and see what's going on. And by we, I mean me. So it's a wonderful time of year. It's American Thanksgiving. I am home by myself in our lovely home here to get ready and watch some foosball. So I took the day off, decided to be like a Craiger there and be a retiree. So it's 1 o'clock Atlantic here, which means that we got about 30 minutes till kickoff. So very excited for some Thanksgiving games to get going. I'll make some predictions on those at the end. But first, let's dig into what happened last week, which was another great week for five people and another not so great week for five others. Now, fortunately, and perhaps most importantly, it was a great week for yours truly, who had the second highest score on the week. So, had myself a nice day against Ryan there. We both went into the week sitting at 6-5, looking to improve our record and stay above 500. Fortunately, I was able to pull out the W, and it was really on the back of consistency. Tyrone Tracy was the only player, aside from my kicker, to go under 10 points. So yeah, just an overall good day. 19 from Brown, 19 from Achan, 19 from McBride, 16 Nakua. Everybody was doing pretty good. 17 Nico. Kyler Murray was a letdown. Couldn't find the end zone, but got enough points to get the job done. On the flip side, poor Ryan, man. He had just one touchdown from his entire team, and that was Chuba Hubbard. So no throwing passing touchdowns for Jared Goff. Monty had one and Gibbs had two on the ground, so nothing happening there. Neighbors had a bit of a comeback at the end. Worthy was, well, not worthy as his name says. Derrick Henry and Chuba led the way. Kelsey was okay. Pittman had a pretty good week, decent kicker, but the Baltimore defense gave up 23 points, which hurt, even though they had 4 sacks. So big win there. That was a fun one. One of the higher scoring matches of the week combined, but it was not the highest score of the week. That goes to Mr. Justin. So things were looking pretty close between him and Brody all the way up until about the Sunday night game. And then things started to kind of fade from there as the Eagles went absolutely nuclear, namely, Saquon Barkley, who put up 44 points. Ninth most rushing yards in a game, 255. Ended up with 47 on the ground as well, so 302 yards combined. Absolutely ridiculous day. He also got super lucky about Jaden Daniels, who was doing absolute shit for like 3.5 quarters. Had like 9 fantasy points. The game was 10-9, I think, for Dallas. And then there was a crazy sequence of like Hail Marys and special teams plays and there's wild stuff going on all over the place. And as a result of that, uh, Jaden Daniels ended up with two massive touchdowns, one to Terry McLaurin in particular that shouldn't have gone in, but ended up with 32 points. So, led the way with those two players. When you get like 76 points from two players, it's pretty hard to lose your week. And Brody did all right. I mean, 105 points. Dobbins even left early, so it could have been more. Russ was, okay in that snow game. That was the first snow game of the year, so that was a fun one. Really enjoyed that. Steelers didn't so much, but fun game there. Gotta love Jameis Winston with the interviews, man. That guy's like a big kid in an adult body. Jacobs with the hat trick of tutties, 106 and 3. And, McLaurin let big catch. So not a bad week. Brody drops to 4-8. Pretty well eliminates him from contention at this point. I mean, in theory, he could win and go 6-8, but you got a number of people in the standings with 6 wins already. So I don't see that happening. So he joins the other eliminated person, which would be Jay. We'll get to his matchup next. And well, it was led by Bo Nix, my man for Denver, who 273-2, not too bad. Got us another win against Vegas. And then his kicker for the Dolphins, who hit, two big field goals and 4 extra points and had a good day. Other than that, everybody was absolute trash. Harrison 6 points, Evans 9 points. I mean, I guess that's not trash, but not good. 3 from Taylor, 3 from Eckler, 6 from Disley, 3 from Stevenson, 7 from the defense. Not much you could have done differently too. Burrow and Hall were on a bye, so that really hurt him there. On the flip side, I mean, Don with some decent day out of Hurts. Cooper Cup got the late touchdown. JSN with another huge day there, 6 or 77-1. McCaffrey disappointing, man. Obviously, Brock Purdy was injured, so Brandon Allen, there we go, was the backup. But 68 combined yards, lost a fumble, no touchdowns. Just things aren't quite working out here for McCaffrey since he came back. So continues to be probably the worst pick of the year because it was the 101 and mostly not Don's fault. Most of us would have taken McCaffrey 101. Great day from her kicker and defense though, and then that was enough to get her I guess we should say the scores, a 97-70 win. And if we backtrack, it was 129.5 to 93.5 for Meal for Ryan. And Justin got that champ of the week with 147 to 105. And now for every winner, there's a loser, and the loser of the week was distinctly the loser of the week. Sorry about that one, Craiger, but jeebers. So I mean, we knew it was going to be tough. He was like dropping people just to create room for buys. Garrett Wilson on a buy, Brian Thomas on a buy, Drake London on a buy, Darnell Mooney on a buy. Decided not to play Stroud over Baker, which was a good move. But other than Baker, who 294 and one on the ground, it was kind of like Jay. Just nobody did anything. He actually lost 2 points from his defense, same 49ers. Again, no Brock Purdy there, so they got 38 put on him by the Packers. Tight end he got ruled out, so got 0 points there. Brian Robinson left early. Joe Mixon had his worst game pretty much of the year. It was just absolute disaster. Kicker was the second highest scorer at 8 points, so I think that tells you all you need to know there. And Aaron keeps on trucking. He's now sixth in the standings, pulled ahead of Kreger at the same record and more points. Tua 317-4, which 2 of those went to my man Achan, so that was a good time. None of them went to Tyreek Hill, so that hurt him a little bit. But Montgomery did his thing, got in the end zone. Would have been a bigger day, but he left early. Kenneth Walker had a pretty good day, almost 100 yards from scrimmage. His kicker, Fairbairn, was good. And more importantly, his defense. Holy moly. 8 sacks and 2 fumbles and a return touchdown for Houston. But they actually lost 32-27. So that was kind of a wild game there. One of many wild games. That one, the Bears 49ers was kind of crazy. That Dallas Washington game was crazy. It was quite the week for football, watching games there. And last but not least was the Battle of the Titans. There we had the 8-3 Anaki taking on the 7-4 Cash, and so it was a big week for 6-5, sorry, Cash. And so it was a big week for them to try to maintain their spots here in the top standings. And it was kind of back and forth. It was looking super close going into the Sunday night game. And Kyron was the play. He did find the end zone. He did have 72 yards, but not a single target, lost a fumble. So only 11 points. But really, wide receivers were the killer for Anaki this week. 2 for 27 from Jefferson, who got shut down by Jalen Johnson, the cornerback on the Bears. 5 for 62 from Flowers. They just didn't need him. The ground game was working. And JMO, not bad, right? 5 for 65, 9 points for JMO. He's kind of boom bust, but just didn't get enough out of that crew. Kittle with another huge day, 6 for 82 and 1. Aaron Jones was over 100 yards and a tutty. Herbert, admirable job filling in for Josh Allen, but that Ravens defense played pretty well, and he only had the 1 touchdown on the ground, couldn't pass for any. So that was a bit of a negative there. On the other side of the coin, really the standout was Cortland Sutton, Jameer Gibbs, and Lamar. Those were the three players that led the way. Gibbs got the second touchdown after Monty went out. Sutton with 8 for 97 and two. Man, he is just killing it. Underrated this second half of the season. One of the better wide receivers, but just doesn't have the name value. And Lamar, you're like, well, he didn't need to do much, right? Only 177 yards, but threw two tutties and ran for a tutty. He just can't be stopped, that guy. Even on a down week, he's putting up like 22 and a half points. It's just ridiculous. So it shakes the standings up. We've got some interesting stuff going on here now. As we take a look, it actually means that Justin, with the higher point total than Anaki, is now the first place team, which means it's the first time all season since week one that Anaki hasn't been the first place team, or at least he's still tied for it. But big deal there. Justin with a stranglehold now on the number one seed. Anaki certainly tied for it, so that's a good chance still. And then Cash and I are both sitting at 7 and 5, but he's got the point total on me, so he sits in third and I sit in fourth. And then we've got a trio of 6 and 6 teams with Ryan, Aaron, and Krager. So Krager currently out of a playoff spot, but still plenty of time left to make a move. And Aaron and Ryan sitting there in a playoff spot, just needing to win to keep that spot. And then Dawn makes her move up to 5 and 7 with an outside chance to win out and steal a spot. And like we said, Brody 4 and 8, Jay 3 and 9, all but eliminated at this point. So that was the fourth champ of the week for Justin. First loser of the week for Kreger. So good on him. But yeah, standings are getting really tight here. From seventh place all the way up to first is 2 games, which is exactly how many we have left. So not that I think Kreger's going to go take the number one seed by any means, but it's still a log jam. It's still tight to the finish, and nobody has clinched anything as of yet, which is kind of interesting. You'd figure something would be clinched. Weekly leaders, mostly the usual suspects. Jaden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes has actually been emerging. This was a week where he was better than Lamar, and that's not too often you can say that. Tua with another great game. We touched on that one. Noah Gray with 2 touchdowns 2 weeks in a row now for the Chiefs. Part of the reason that Kelsey didn't do quite so good. So, that's an interesting one there. My man Trey McBride, and then Jonnu Smith, who Jay wisely picked up, and I was eyeing up, but already have 2 tight ends. So he's been on fire. Saquon with the historic game. Josh Jacobs with the trio of tutties. And then Bucky Irving, who was sitting on Anaki's bench. That was one of the things he could have done differently, and saw he has him in for this week, so he seems to have learned from his ways. He had a huge day. Touchdown, over 100 yards. Looks like the lead back now for the Buccaneers. Jordan Addison went nuclear. He's on the waiver wire. I had added him before dropping him for somebody else, but I did probably just a one-hit wonder. Cortland Sutton, who we talked about emerging. Jalen Waddle went off on Don's bench. I mean, he's been trash for like 6 weeks, so I don't blame him for having him on the bench, but that one hurts for sure. And then defense, Cowboys with the run back special teams touchdown. 2 of them actually led the way. Seahawks with the pick 6 on Kyler, and the Texans we talked about for Aaron all had great games there. Denver kicker Lutz, Patriots or the Titans kicker Folk, and the Chargers kicker Dicker were the trio of kickers this week to finish in the top 3. So that's where we stand coming out of this week. Before we look ahead to the matchup, I thought it'd be fun to do a little, Thanksgiving tribute, even though it's a American Thanksgiving, not Canadian. But hey, we got to celebrate them all. And so we'll go through each team from, last place to first place and see who's the player that they should be thankful for. And, it's subjective. I made the call, so that's the way it's going to go. But let's start with Jay. So I selected Joe Burrow, who, if not for the fact that Jay was already eliminated, a couple weeks back when Burrow started heating up, might have been a dangerous force in the playoffs because that guy is just balling out. After that, we went over to Brody's team, and there's a few that we could have gone with, but I decided to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who used to be on my team. I miss you, buddy. But that's been a really talented player, scoring tons of points. Single-handedly defeated me there 2 weeks ago for Brody, so gotta love having him on the roster. For John, there's gonna be a theme here at quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts just been so consistent and so good. Guy's got like 14 rushing touchdowns. It's outrageous. That offense is humming. Krager, it was a down week for him, but got to give the love to Joe Mixon. 3 touchdowns the week before. Just been having an absolute monster season. Not healthy for the first, missed the I think weeks 2 through 5 maybe, but since his return has been an absolute beast. Speaking of beast running backs, we're on a run here with Aaron, who's got David Montgomery. Gotta love him. He's been outrageously good. He's a top 10 fantasy back, despite Jameer Gibbs being just a little bit higher than that. Like, two on the same team. Just gotta love it. The Lions. That offense is scary. They're gonna be pounding up on Chicago here in about 15 or 20 minutes. So looking forward to watching some of that. Similarly, Derrick Henry for Ryan, just a beast. Who would have thought? It made sense on paper, but I still can't believe we overlooked that one. Derrick Henry going to the Ravens. Didn't think at this age and this stage of his career switching teams would work out, but man, has it ever worked out. This was his first week without a touchdown on the year. That's 12 weeks into the season. That's just outrageous. For me, I chose my man Nico, sort of like Mixon. He was banged up there, missed about 5 weeks, but since coming back, he's been on fire. 2 weeks in a row now, too. He's had a touchdown call back to penalty. Fuck you, refs. Get the hell out of get that whistle back in your pocket, man. Jesus. But he looks amazing. So excited to have him for the stretch run. Back to the quarterbacks here with Lamar for Cash. We touched on it. He's just so consistent and so good. Similarly, Anaki is Josh Allen, absolute beast. Probably part of the reason he lost this week was not having Allen in the lineup, so he'll have him back now, and I'm sure he's excited that that was his one and only bye week. And then it's hard to talk about Justin's team without talking about Saquon Barkley, who's been unstoppable. A couple of down games earlier in the year, but since then, just going nuclear, scoring from all over, multiple touchdowns in back-to-back games. Excuse me. Could have also gone with Jamar Chase. That was a close second on that one. Those two players have been carrying the way for him. So those are the players that we're all thankful for, and we play tribute to here on this lovely holiday. Now let's look at it because there's only 2 weeks left. So we'll take a look at the matchups for this week, and then we'll talk about the fact that there's only 2 weeks left and how things are looking like they're going to unfold. So last week's Battle of the Titans was Anaki versus Cash. This week's Battle of the Titans is me and Justin. And, I don't love playing against the guy who just put up the most points in the league and has done that 4 times on the year. Not exactly something to get excited about. But, I don't think Barkley's going to have 40 points again this week. And I think that, I've got a good, consistent squad here. So we'll see what the matchups are. He gets Jamar Chase back off the bye. He gets his kicker back off the bye there, McPherson. So put those guys in. It's going to be interesting. We got 3 Thursday games. I got HN going tonight, and then they got the Black Friday game tomorrow. So he's got Kareem Hunt going in that one. So and Jacoby Myers actually. So we're going to know going into Sunday, a bit of where this matchup's at already. I think the quarterback one is intriguing. Right now I got Kyler rolling. He's got Jaden Daniels. So it's going to come down to the week that Chase and Barkley have because if one of those guys goes nuclear again, then it's going to be tough. But I still like my chances. I think I got the better overall team, despite him having a couple of better pieces. Just need to hope that it's not a blow-up week for those guys. Next up, the next sort of, battle of the big teams, if you will. The closest one for playoff standings would be Anaki and Aaron. So Anaki sitting in second, trying to reclaim his 1 seed, hoping that he can get a win here. And so, He's got Josh Allen back. He's got Khalil Shakir back. He's got that Bills D back. So his lineup's back to full strength, and that makes him the favorite over Aaron. And this today and tomorrow are big for both teams, but especially for Aaron. So, shortly here we're gonna have the kicker Bates and JMO for Anaki, and then we got Monty for Aaron. So he's gonna be rooting for the ground game there for the Lions, but everybody's gonna be excited about that Lions offense. Then later in the day, Aaron's got the Tyreek Tua stack for the Dolphins going against Green Bay tonight. And then tomorrow he's got Bowers rolling against the Chiefs. So that'll be an interesting one there. So lots of players for Aaron, especially. So we'll again have a pretty good sense of where this matchup's at heading into the weekend. After that, we turn over to Mr. Three Seed himself on a big win over Naki Cash. So he's taking on Don this week. Another vengeance matchup here as we go back from the first time around. So Cash won this one. I beat Justin the first time, and Aki beat Aaron the first time. So we'll see if Cash can keep that rolling, or if Don can exercise some vengeance here against Cash. So she's got a chance to make some moves. We'll see, depending on buys and who's in and out, what she does. He gets Kamara back off the bye, which is obviously a big boost. And the Eagles played the Ravens this week, so that's going to be a big one. That should be a fun game. Lamar has a chance to go off, and they've got the battle of the quarterbacks between Hurts and Lamar, so that's going to go a long way to deciding this matchup. Got to give the edge to Cash, but nothing's guaranteed. He was the loser of the week just 2 weeks ago, so Don's got a shot. After that, we'll turn to Ryan, who's sitting in fifth place, trying to knock off Jay and stay in that playoff spot. As we mentioned, Jay gets Burrow back, so he's got him in the lineup. Probably gets Brees Hall back, although he's questionable because he missed practice and wasn't feeling too good with that knee injury, which is never a good sign coming off a bye week. But yeah, he's got Jonnu Smith, who he added. He's up playing tonight, so that'll be a good one for him. He's got the kicker in that game for the Dolphins as well. Ryan has Jared Goff in coming up here. He's got Neighbors in the second game against Dallas, and then he's got the Dallas kicker Aubrey. So we'll see how this one unfolds. I think the edge should go to Ryan, but it's close, man. With Burrow in there, it's always scary. It's going to depend on if Goff can throw some touchdowns or not this week. Because if he goes out and the ground game wins again, then Ryan's going to be in some trouble. Last but not least, we got Brody and Krager tearing it up. So Krager's trying to redeem himself and salvage his dignity here and see if he can stay alive. Brody's trying to just, fight for positioning, see if he can maybe miracle something. Lots of players on Brody's roster today. I'm on Raw in the first game, CeeDee Lamb in the second game, Josh Jacobs in the third game. So Detroit defense is the first game as well. On the flip side, Krager's got nobody going today. So Brody's going to have half his roster done, and Krager's just going to be sitting watching. So got to give the edge to, I don't know, this is pretty tight. I'd say I don't love Russ again. That's the only problem for Brody is the quarterback situation. Otherwise, he's got the better overall roster. But I'll give him the slight edge over Krager after what we saw last week. I think it could be close, though. Krager with some of those players back off the bye, getting Drake London, getting Garrett Wilson. So should be able to just keep it close. All right. So let's talk about the playoffs or the final 2 week schedule here that we're about to embark on. So Justin, who's sitting at the top, has me this week and Krager next week. So I think our matchup's going to go a long way to deciding that. If he beats me, then he's probably going to beat Krager and probably lock up that 1 seed. After him, you got Anaki, who's got to knock off Aaron and Brody and hope that Justin loses one of his games. Cash is trying to take down Don and Ryan to see if he's got an outside chance to slip into that 1 or 2 seed and get the bye. And I'm in a similar spot trying to take down Justin and Jay and see if I can sneak into one of that top 2 seeds and get the bye. Ryan's trying to stay there and at least in the playoffs, fifth or sixth, ideally fifth, and tried to knock off Jay and then see if he can win against Cash in the final week. Aaron trying to take down Anaki, keep his spot in there, and then finish with Don. And Krager's got Brody and Justin to try to get into the playoffs. So tough schedule there, two good teams. Dawn's got Cash and Aaron, so I mean I think she could get in if she can knock Cash off because she's got more points than Aaron and close to the same as Krager. So this is the big decider for her. And then Brody's trying to play spoiler against Kreger and Anaki. And Jay's trying to play spoiler against me and Ryan and then me. So those two teams, Brody and Jay, both eliminated, but all four of the teams they face this week and next week are playoff teams. So they could really be a thorn in the side of the four of us, Anaki, Kreger, Ryan, and I. So lots on the line still, lots for everybody. Reminder that whoever finishes last in the regular season gets the number one pick next year. And then everybody participates in the playoffs. And whoever loses in the blue balls part of the playoff gets that blue balls trophy. So, excuse me. Keep battling, keep your team active, and keep trying to win. Let's wrap up with today's games. So, Lions and Bears is the first one. We talked about that. That's going to be a blowout. There's no way the Bears win that game. It could be closer than expected if Caleb Williams has a good game and maybe the Lions can't score touchdowns like they usually do, but hard to imagine them winning. Next up, you got the Cowboys and the Giants. It should be a smash spot for the Cowboys, but they've looked like garbage. They did knock off the Commanders last week, though. But the Giants, Mr. Tommy DeVito got hurt. Drew Lock's coming in. I actually think Drew Lock's a better quarterback than DeVito, so that one could be interesting. I think that's probably, could be a real back and forth one. Probably going to be like a defensive or special teams play because neither offense is all that good. So I'll lean with the Cowboys, but that one's close. And then Packers and Dolphins in Lambeau. Not much more Thanksgiving than football in Lambeau. Gotta love that. Should be cold, could be snowy. Not ideal conditions for Tua, who we know loves the hot Miami weather and playing in domes. So I'll lean the Packers on that one, but hoping for a good game from Miami and my man HM there. All right, well, as always, it's been fun chopping it up. I know schedules were tough this week for myself and for others, so no problem doing it solo. I'll put this out there. We'll wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And next week, we'll get someone on here keeping me company. Till next time, clear eyes, full heart, go Broncos, can't lose.